Let's do this.
Unstoppable kick-ass confidence. Are you ready?
Welcome to the Raw and Unscripted Show with Christopher Rausch, where we help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Now please welcome our host, Christopher Rausch.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Raw and Unscripted Show. It is Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You are at your place where I help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. I'm super excited to be here with you guys tonight, whether you're watching us live on the video cast or, of course, listening to us on audio podcast. We are in over 27 different countries right now. We are number top 10% rated podcast all globally. So we are super excited, and we appreciate you guys, whether you're listening again on the audio podcast on any platform that you choose, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon Music, Apple Music, anywhere you get your podcasts. You go in there and you type in Raw and Unscripted Show with Christopher Rausch, or you can just type in my name, Christopher Rausch, and you'll actually see my other show, which is called The Unfiltered Experience. But tonight we are proudly promoting Raw and Unscripted Show tonight. We've got an amazing show for you guys tonight. So we invite you to buckle in, sit down, make sure you have something to take notes with, because we're going to be talking about some stuff that can definitely move your life forward by creating some boundaries in your life and being really intentional about the moments that we're living in, because so many times we're living in the past or we're living in the future. We're never really truly embracing the moments. And so we're going to be talking about that tonight. But tonight we have a special, if you guys have been watching the show and listening to the show, you guys have known about this night. The next couple of episodes of the Raw and Unscripted Show, I am so excited to be joined by my beautiful friend, my beautiful sister from another mister, the amazing Patricia Gagic. Patricia, what's going on? Good to see you.
Hello. Nice to see you too. Super excited. I can't believe, Chris, it's December. Like,
isn't it amazing? We've been talking about this. We started talking about this back like the summertime. I
know. So, but it's here, and I'm really super over the top excited. Like, this is going to be a good one.
Yeah. And I'm going to try not to cough through the middle of it, because unfortunately I got sick over the weekend. I was like all proud and boasting to my wife and my son. I'm like, I'm not going to catch your stupid cold. And I was walking around feeling all macho and everything. And then they got better. And then all of a sudden I got it. So I don't know if I got their cold, if I got somebody else's cold, but hopefully we'll be able to make it through the entire broadcast tonight and not have any sneezing or any coughing fits. But I'm excited to be doing this with you. How is everything with you, my dear friend, Patty?
Super good. Like, I literally have been in celebration mode, celebrating, a big milestone birthday. And then when I
know you turned 40, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. How did that happen?
That's amazing. That's amazing. You're going to catch up to me pretty soon.
Yeah. So lots of good things. I'm looking forward. 2024 is going to be a big year. I know it will be, for you as well. A little bit of authorship going on, a lot of painting stuff. And and I'm still drumming. So it's a good day when you're above the ground, as they say.
A good day here above the ground. I know it goes by so quick. It's crazy. Jackson just celebrated his 7th birthday.
I know. That blows my mind, because I know, I remember the day you said, bringing this child home, and I'm like, oh my God,
I'm gonna be a dad,
baby, and now he's 7.
He's 7. I know that the thing that excuse me, the thing that blows my mind is the fact in 10 years, right? You know how fast time 10 years goes. I mean, we met 10 years ago, literally a little bit more than that. Is how fast 10 years goes by, and to think in 10 years he's going to be 17.
Let's not
like, and in 10 years I'm going to be nearly 65.
Okay,
I'm talking about that.
We got some excitement tonight.
Yeah, let's bring it on. So please introduce our guests.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I actually had the privilege of meeting this amazing couple, Hannah and Alex, who are, I don't even know where to start, choreographers, writers, editors, dancers, producers, musicians, filmographers, actors, judges. Like, the talent between the two of them is off the screen. And did I say, like photography, videography, dancing, professional dancing. Okay, so the conversation is like, we're going to be all over the place, because these two are really, really special, really special. Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I mean, I love special people and I love special guests, especially when they're referred by somebody else, because you have a relationship with them, and because I love and respect you so much that I know this is going to be a dynamic conversation. So feel free to introduce them, and I'll bring them on screen.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Alex Isenberg and Hannah Isenberg. Yay.
Welcome, guys. Welcome to the Raw and Unscripted Show. It's so good for you guys to be here. Thank you guys for being here. I know it's a little bit later in your part of the world, but thank you for being here. And how are you both doing this evening?
Fantastic.
Well,
Yeah, it's 10, but I feel like I always joke that I live off of West Coast time, even when I'm in the East Coast. I go to bed super late and I wake up super late. So I'm good. Still within my time wheelhouse.
Nice, nice. Sometimes people are late, or what do they call them, lions and sheeps and whatever they all, they have different types of bedtimes and stuff like that. I know my son. We were just talking about this with some fellow parents over the weekend, and they were talking about how their kid goes to sleep like at 7:30, 8 o'clock, but wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, nope, my kid will stay awake until midnight and watch his iPad and sleep in until 10 o'clock, which is kind of cool for us parents.
Totally.
Yeah. And Alex, how are you doing? I love the hair, man.
Thank you. I'm doing fantastic, but I am on the time frame of if I sit still for long enough, no matter the time of day, I will fall asleep. But when we're not sitting down, we're going 1,000% until that inevitably happens. So
on switch, off switch,
on switch, off switch. Oh,
we're
I wish I had
100,
that.
or we're getting the rest we need to therefore go 100. So that's where I'm at right now.
I love it. I love it. We always got to bring our A game to any situation that we're in, because we never know when our time's going to be up. And I think that's one of the things that I'm excited about this conversation tonight is you guys seem to embrace life. You guys seem to be out there living life, and not only living life, but you're out there taking risks, and you're out there speaking your message and helping people to have a better life in their own situations as well. And that's one of the things I love about you guys and doing a little bit of research. What is it that you most want to get across to people tonight? People are listening and watching this from all over the world. There's a lot of chaos and calamity if you watch the news and follow politics, which we don't here. We just live our life and we go out there and make the world a better place. But what is it that you want to get across most to people tonight watching and listening to this?
You want me to go first?
Hey, go ahead, Hannah.
Say no sometimes. And I think that's something that I'm 30. How old am I? 32? About to be 33. I don't know how old I am, but it took me a long time to start saying no to people, especially in your 20s. You're going and you're trying to make your mark. You're trying to impress everybody and anybody in the world, and you're trying to make everyone like you, and that changes over time. And as you grow and as you mature and as you experience things on both sides, you start to understand that saying yes isn't always the right answer, and pleasing everybody isn't always the right answer, and being available 24/7 to everybody is not always the right answer. And that's something that we have been really working on a lot. Being in the arts, you kind of have to be on avail all the time, and we're just trying to slow it down. And that has been seen a big shift. I know I can speak for both of us saying that, and setting those boundaries for ourselves and just living life for ourselves and for nobody else.
So I have to ask you, because the two of you
already
literally have so many things on the go. I mean, the preamble for me was to even just describe what you do. I'm already breathless. But your scheduling, how do you manage this? Because you're both, you travel to different parts of the country, you cross border. Alex, you're absolutely across the border. And there is no question that, how do you live this life? And again, the topic tonight about boundaries, you can be doing your work in one part of the world and you're in the other part of the world, and yet you're still making this magical, experience happen. I mean, it's incredible. So scheduling, talk to us, how's your life? Do you have a book, or are you what's going on there?
Yeah, give us a dish on how you plan your life.
Yeah, we it's so funny that you're asking this exact question, because I'm pretty sure it was yesterday we scheduled, because at this moment in time I'm in the United States, Hannah is in Canada, and we operate this way. Sometimes we're together, sometimes we're not, but always, like you said, we kind of have a multi-pronged situation going on just to keep it going, keep everything fresh, and to try to keep being creative. And that usually fuels one area of our life, and then that creates opportunities in another one. But yes, I think it's this idea that Hannah really brought up, the idea of no being a complete sentence. And so often we feel the need to have to explain ourselves or these kinds of things, especially with scheduling, because we are very fortunately getting to a point where certain things are kind of overlapping, and you have to say no to certain jobs, certain opportunities, friends, whenever they, I thought we were going to do this, and or making time for the friend thing, really scheduling in terms of, we've been using the cup analogy. Does it fill your cup, or does it in your cup? You know what I mean? And our scheduling, obviously, with financially, or a job opportunity that we can't miss, or one that we're really stoked about, it just all comes from collective. Are we going to do this? Are we not going to do this? Do you want to? And we have the luxury of, she can go do one thing, I can go do another, and that has become, I think, our secret weapon in terms of, we can work together while not necessarily being in the same place. So we can almost double ourselves in that capacity, but still making time for the scheduling of the holidays.
Which we still need to do.
Yeah, we're working on that one.
Procrastination. Let's talk about procrastination.
We're working on that one. But yeah, the scheduling is simply what is our most important thing at that juncture. What are we setting aside time for? And then also still setting aside time for us, because we do work together. And so often it's like, oh, you guys are together all the time, but we'll go 48, 72 hours where it is work. And we're working on setting aside, a few hours here, a few hours there to have a meal, sit down, no talk about work, no talk about anything else, just connect on that level as well.
Right. Yeah, that's so important. And when I love what you guys are talking about this, because so oftentimes when people sit there and think about saying no, they feel guilty. And that goes back to our childhood, right? When you think about our childhood, a lot of what and who we become happens between the ages of 0 and 5. So a lot of our belief systems and a lot of our attitudes are based on the fact of who we were brought up by, what are some of those situations that were brought into our lives. And then we carry that on into our adult life. And then, so when we get to our adult life, sometimes we feel like guilty or we feel selfish. Talk to us about that. When we're setting boundaries, I mean, that's a principal priority for us to give ourselves space, to give ourselves love. Like you said, not to always be a 1,000% people pleaser. What are some ways people can shift their perspective about that, about saying, you know what, it's self-love, it's not selfishness? Talk to us about that and in your road and your journey in that, because I can only imagine that by saying no, you have offended some of the people who are like, wait a minute, I thought I was the priority in your life. Talk to us about that experience.
Sure. So I remember meeting Alex's dad for one of the first times, and we were in the truck driving, and he's a funny guy, and I was sitting up front with him, and he was a school principal, had a very successful and and I'm envious of people that have like a daily, what your schedule is, and where your money comes from, like forever type thing. We don't have that luxury. And he did. And I remember him asking us, how do you guys do it? Like, what is that? And that I had never really thought about that before, because that's all I've ever known. I grew up, and Alex too, we grew up, doing this our whole lives. And it's just something that is ingrained and was ingrained since I was around 4 or 5 when I started in the arts.
Wow.
And I think that it's everybody's idea of success is different, and everybody's walk of life is different. Everybody's values are different, which is a good thing. That's, how the world goes around, and learning what is important to you and what your values are at the end of the day, everyone else aside. If they were in the picture or weren't in the picture, what is still important to you? And, realizing that, lives can look different. I think there's this ideology of the white picket fence. So you date and you marry and you get a job and you buy a house and you save for retirement. Our generation, I think, is really straying away from that, and others too, but millennials in particular, a lot of us can't afford to buy a house. So we've had to kind of roll with the punches there and figure out, where is our time and our energy going, and coming to terms with, being okay with that, and being okay with your life looking different than A, you expected, B, other people expected, and C, what society says it's supposed to look like, because there's no rhyme or reason or a formula for that. It's just what makes you happy makes you happy.
But you also have to have, I think, a lot of communication between the two of you at a level that supersedes the average. Go on a date, go out for dinner, watch a movie, come home.
Oh, yeah.
You need to do the degree of work that you do. I would imagine that your conversations are yeah, collaboration is so important. The conversations have to be, and again, they're probably deep. They can be dark, and the absence. I mean, separation anxiety has to play a part. I'm sorry, like you two are lovebirds, and there's this like obvious chemistry that you can see it the second the two of you are on the screen. Never mind that if you're in the room with the two of you. So that's got to be part of it, managing feelings and the human side of.
We've done a ton of work on ourselves together, and I think that we've been together almost 6 years and married for almost 3. It's almost our anniversary.
Oh no, it's coming up. Oh
my
man.
gosh. And when we met, we were completely different people than we are now. And that has a lot to do with the trust that we've put into one another with our lives and with our feelings and, what we want and what was and what we want to be. And that, has not always been pretty, but it's a place that you have to go internally yourself, and you have to let someone in with you to get out of. And that I'm speaking myself because I did, a lot of this with you, Al, and I was like, sorry, but I want to marry you and want to be happy with you. And in order to do that, I need to figure out a lot of things about myself.
Right.
So that was a really cool trip though, going and diving, and it's instilled this level of communication that we have with each other on a personal basis, human to human, that people always say, oh, you're so lucky to meet someone that's, so much like you, which like I am, but also we built that together. And, it takes putting in the work and putting in the elbow grease with the people that you love to build those types of relationships.
So you built something also, which I think is pretty awesome. And that's the Savage Patch Kids.
Yeah.
Savage Patch Kids. Ooh, I like that. Sounds heavy metal.
Can we talk about it? Let's talk to us about how that started. Like, or how did you two even connect, and then how did it evolve? What came first? Or yeah.
So
ahead,
it always cracks me up because I will take 75% of the credit for the origination of the Savage Patch Kids, because let's do the rewind. Early in our lives, both of us had very different musical influences and kind of had a lot of music was a big part of our lives, no matter from it being literal, being in our lives. Both of us played instruments, dance, obviously. A dance without music is it always feels like, although it exists and is, you can hear it in your mind, if it's there pumping and you feel it, there's something so like visceral about that, right? Like just being in the moment and feeling the music. And then you have we started making music on our own. I was more in the hip hop rap genre. Hannah was more in the rock punk emo scene.
Yeah.
But we had such hilarious overlapping. Like my brother plays guitar. He was in a super slam band, and he was in like a couple different ones that kind of spanned. It made no sense that you played in those different kinds of bands. He was in a reggae band as well, so you had like polar opposite things. But just being exposed to that, and then randomly we met, never talked about music, and as of course the communication is developing and being something that when you're apart from somebody, especially initially in your relationship, whether a friendship or romantically or anything in between, music. And then of course you start to get comfortable with somebody, and then it's like, oh, do you want to hear some of the old music that I made back in the day? And then that,
want to hear my SoundCloud link?
Totally, but it really was that. And then we
my MySpace original.
Oh yeah, Bandcamp stuff that you had to have a password for, like
Reverb Nation.
Reverb Nation. I'm still rocking on Reverb Nation.
I think I am too.
Nice.
But like the can of worms that was both of ours that kind of melded, and then I suggested, I was like, hey, do you want to, like, I love to just, that's an emotional outlet for me and something that I find cathartic, of whether I'm going through it literally, going through it existentially, if you will, or I'm close with somebody else and they're going through it, like kind of taking that in, and that's my way of interpreting and digesting what they might be going through, And so we started and we wrote a song together, and then
And you're going to perform it right now on live on the air.
and live. Here we go.
But you'd never ask.
Yeah. Yeah, right. I'm like, got the ready to go. But yeah, and then we started writing songs together, and we did an EP with our friend Kari Mateen in his garage in Los Angeles, because I was still living out there at the time. And after that, then we just haven't stopped, and it's been actually over here. Good old days. We made a music video, and we're thankful to win like a bunch of awards for it. But yeah, that has been our headache and our baby, if you will, of trying to, it always comes back to that. We're like, oh, let's take a break, because we have so many, like Patricia was saying, so many other things going on, and to give music the proper attention it takes a lot of time and money and effort and all of those things.
It's like a baby.
Yeah, but really no. Like, you got to make sure all of the things with the baby, you got to get the checkup. Are we good? Are we happy with it before we're taking it out into the world?
We feed the fucking thing.
Yeah. It's
you thought you were going to feed him. I thought you were going to feed him. Oh shit.
Screaming. Somebody get the baby. But that was just kind of getting comfortable enough with each other, and neither of us knew that about the other one, and just kind of diving into that. And the fact that it worked together with our stark different backgrounds is still baffling to me, and as well as a lot of other people, that it just made what we made. But it's something that I can speak for both of us, that I'm very proud of, and it's something that I very much look forward to continuing, because it is so special.
That is awesome. And so one of the things I'm curious about, just meeting you guys, this initial, understanding of you both, I can see you guys are both energetic and loving, beautiful people. And talking about boundaries, it's one thing for us to have boundaries with other people, but how do you guys navigate the professional and personal aspects of your relationships? I've got some friends of mine that they're called the relationship renegades. Actually, my buddy Scott here, who was just on here a second ago, was saying hi. He introduced me to him, and we had them on our show, our Unfiltered Experience show. And one of the interesting questions that we asked them was like, doing the stuff personally, you got in a personal relationship, then you got the professional relationship. How do you guys navigate that communication? And sometimes, maybe Alex, you're like, maybe I don't want to do this. I'm not feeling that's right. And you're feeling like, yeah, let's do this. How do you guys navigate that and being able to say no to each other?
Communication.
Yeah.
Like truly, that is like, and Hannah,
what are some of those tips? What are some tips? Because I know people struggle with that. They're afraid to be honest with their partner. They're afraid to be honest with themselves. And so they put up with stuff. We play the someday game. Oh, someday when this happens or that happens, then I'll be honest. What can we tell people about having some great communication boundaries and some great strategies for being able to, have those conversations with our spouses?
Yeah. For us in particular, I think knowing that it's coming from a place of love is like the root of it all.
Yeah.
Because there are some days like nobody's perfect, and I might be feeling one way, he might be feeling another way. I might say something that I mean one way and he takes it another way, or vice versa, and sometimes you just need to take a day on it and just let yourself feel what you're feeling, and that's fine. But knowing that the trust that we have in one another, speaking on ourselves, it's not personal, and it's like never personal, especially with business. It's
right.
Business. It's not personal. And then when it comes to our personal lives, that it is coming from a place of love. And it's something I think we're constantly still reminding ourselves of and working on, because, we're in an odd situation where we do everything together. So, there are times where we don't agree. There are times when we don't see eye to eye, and sometimes it's coming down to the fact that we won't see eye to eye on it. That's just, we have to decide what we're doing and move on and let that die. But communicating is so important, and it seems silly that that's like the answer. That I feel like we get asked this quite often, and we're always like, just talk to each other. But it seems like such a simple idea, but it takes time to craft, and it takes time to understand how to do that with one another.
And it's honest communication. And oftentimes, like, we've really got into the point of, how are we speaking to each other? Are we speaking to each other as business partners? Are we speaking to each other as artists? Are we speaking to each other as our spouses? Those kinds of things. Whenever you acknowledge and communication in the sense of effective, honest communication, it has been our saving grace, because at times where we'll do separate things and come together, and it's brought to, each of the other's attention. It's simple and as, I guess, elementary as it is. Do you want solutions or do you want comfort? Do you want me to just listen to you and love you and hug you? And that sucks, which is perfectly valid if that's what you require in that situation. Or are you coming to me with, do you want me to help you solve this problem?
Right.
And both ways are perfectly great. It's just now understanding, we don't always have to actively say, I'm speaking to you as this. And as you grow with somebody, obviously you glean that a little easier and you can deduce this is what you need in this moment, but there's still errors. We kind of cross paths and that wasn't what she needed or I needed. And then being like, right now, this is just what I need. And that, I think, again, going back to the overarching thing of boundaries, that is an ever shifting boundary, but it still exists. Right. But that is how we, I think, have been successful, is in what voice are we speaking to each other, be it where your point of view, what you're coming to it as. Because I feel like our biggest time that we kind of clash on anything like that is artistically, which is the fact that we work together as well as we do, being as strong-willed and passionate as we are, is quite surprising, and that has been verbalized by other people. But I think it's an ebb and it's a flow. I'm not perfect. I'm not always right. But if I'm excited or I feel a certain way, let's try it this way. We've gotten really good at finding a flow. Okay, let's try that with that. And then out of that comes something that we're both super stoked on. And that is not just existing that has helped us both in our personal lives, our business world, and just everyday life with our affecting other people too. So,
but you're also, I always think about the two of you. You're really best friends.
Oh yeah.
Like they're like,
we're that before anything else, I think.
Yeah. And I think that really has been sort of like the cement pad, the root that you can land on without really initiating a lot of, deep hurt or regrets or, the added insult. I think being in that type of a friendship, you have such integrity around, what you want to accomplish and who you are as individuals. So just to go back to that, because there's still layers and layers, and we're going to just peel this onion. But the dance, I want to just talk about the dance, because there is something pretty special. And I actually I'm really kind of overwhelmed by a little bit. But Alex, in your own world as a dancer, choreographer, then I want Hannah, because there's a whole other side to this. But Alex, first, just tell us, where did you study? Like, who did you study with? What is this thing about Alex that we should know about?
Okay. Let's turn back the clock again. So growing up, my mother, Elise Marie, she owns a dance studio in Freeport, Pennsylvania, which is where I grew up. And then my dad, who he played professional baseball and then was a gym teacher, and then he was my actual middle school principal. So we could really want to peel back some onions. There's a lot in there that we could dive into. But he coached my sports, and dance for me was always fun. It was never the sports were it. I was at any given season. Growing up, we were in a different city every weekend, playing basketball, playing baseball, doing track. When I got into like middle school, we were doing a lot of football, and dance always was a break from my sports. And it really did aid my agility, my footwork, all these things that I really saw come to, like, you see it you hear about it and it's like, oh, okay, sure. But then seeing it in practice was something that was very special to me, and that I was fortunate to have support of my teammates. A lot of my football and basketball buddies would come to dance competitions because, I was on the very weird edge of dance growing up. Dance was for girls, right, in the large part of the community, but excelling in sports and then also being a good dancer kind of shook the boat a little bit. Like, oh, okay. And then all the other things, like there's growing up, and I know Hannah could attest to this, we, there's 70 girls to every one boy, if not more. That's a pretty sick ratio for a teenage boy.
Wow, I would have loved those stats back in the day.
Oh, right. You know, like you're meeting all these people. Yeah, and I mean, you know,
damn. Like
natural
shooting fish in a
selection
barrel.
here, I am the, you know, could be the bottom of the barrel, but I'm still floating somewhere in the middle just based on numbers alone.
Right.
But no, that was just kind of the baseline of how dance was perceived. I just really enjoyed it. Fast forward, I went to Georgetown University. I was studying pre-med. I wanted to be a plastic surgeon initially. And then on a summer home, I went with my mom to a convention, which is just basically a bunch of teachers come around and teach. They teach different disciplines, but it's in a ballroom usually. There's a lot of people. I'm in the back because I'm not too old, but I'm not there to get noticed. I'm not there to participate or win a scholarship or anything like that. And somebody that I had known since I was a little kid asked me who I was dancing for. And that question kind of shook me.
A Mickey Mouse?
Yeah,
I don't know.
like myself, I don't know. And just kind of put that bug in my ear that, I thought you were dancing professionally based upon your kind of performance and skill set. And that gave me put the bug back in. It reignited the flame that why I really loved that. And looking at the overall spectrum of things, you know, I was playing on the football team at Georgetown, but I walked on. I wasn't going to go play in the NFL. Fast forward to that summer, I go to New York City, do a program at Broadway Dance Center, which with Bonnie Erickson, if you're listening or watching, I love you so much. This woman who was heading the program and gave us so much great information and kind of, if you do these steps and you see if you really love it, that you can make a career out of it. Ended up getting a few things, a few jobs. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Brian Thomas, if I think you're watching, he is one of the biggest influences in my dance career. He choreographed and danced for Michael Jackson, Pink, everybody under the sun. This man is absolutely incredible, but he saw something in me and kind of took me under his wing and showed me the ropes. Whereas I'm sure you guys can attest, in any way of the arts, there's this weird thing with the gatekeepers that you got to take your lumps and you got to put in the years and the time. And you got to figure out for yourself. Whereas this man it wasn't fed to me on a silver platter, but try this, avoid that, those kinds of things that really helped me navigate my early years in New York City. And then fast forward 8 years in Los Angeles, I got the chance to perform with some of the biggest names in the industry and work with some of my idols that I looked up to growing up. And I was in the same room with them, and being looked at on a even playing field, and the respect that was given there was so full circle and just insane that I was a lot of those opportunities that I granted did work very hard for. But, when you're in that room and you're going, oh, cool. Like we're here. We're here.
You made it.
And
now we
yeah,
make it.
Totally. And then you're the young you's going, this is happening every 2 weeks. I'm making X amount of dollars. It's fantastic. And then, as is the artist life, it's up and down. It's up and down. You're doing great. You're feeling like maybe I'm going to quit. And then you're doing great again. And then all of those in between. But a beautiful journey that I am ever so thankful for. And just the love of performing. And that started back in just being an idiot. If you couldn't tell, I'm an absolute clown all the time.
It's so cool. So I will mention this because I actually was able to connect with Brian. He was unable to be on the call. He did say to give you his love. And,
nice.
And also, just because this hasn't been announced yet, Brian is actually going to be our guest next week.
Yeah.
Oh yes, he's
you're gonna love
fantastic.
Him. He has agreed.
Right
I'd invited him several months ago, and of course, he knows that you're on tonight. But he has agreed, so we're going to have his stories about you, Alex.
Oh no!
I
we're gonna talk some dirt.
Can't wait to hear those.
But now, Hannah, because you are an incredible superstar. I don't even know where to start, but I will share a little. May I say a little tidbit there?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So, Hannah, I'll share that. Hannah is how we connected was through the arts as well, and also because she happens to be related to a very, very probably the most world-renowned drummer in the whole world, who unfortunately passed away, Neil Peart from Rush. And Hannah, his niece, had attended the gallery show that I had created the paintings around, Neil, as in an honor of his passing. So when we connected, we had this like instant love bite, massive, and then it just kind of spiraled into we're almost telepathic about, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. So that, just for the sake of background, that's where.
And then we did.
And then we did. And
you
the
executed.
thing is, we did. And she also came to my studio, and she called me one day and she said, you need better pictures. The ones of you are like, they're not you.
So you don't look like yourself in your pictures.
No. So she's
coming
I know
over.
who you are. I'm coming to your studio and I'm going to do you. So you get some clothes ready. And that's what happened. So she came in and spent, oh my God, the whole afternoon. And we took the most amazing pictures, which I super love. And I hate my picture taken, but yes. So Hannah, in your own right, you are one major rock star, superstar.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are, for sure. But the dance part. So this is also key, because I had the opportunity to be in a conversation with her with respect to what, there was a particular situation that she was involved with to create this dance. I've never seen anybody in my life take the bull by the horns and just, all of a sudden she amasses 40 dancers. She's got a hall. She's got this. She's over the top. But the background, like your dance background. Tell us.
Oh man. I've been dancing as long as I can remember. I was one of the kids that, got put in when they were young, with my mom. Like my mom put me in dance class and did the whole thing. The videos of me from when I was a kid, I stood there and picked my nose. Like if you watched that video and knew that
My
later
son's
in
not
my life-
alone.
Yeah, no. If you watch those videos and knew that was going to be a professional dancer one day, you'd never believe it. I was one of like those kids being young.
Yeah.
And then I joined a competitive team when I was 6, in the town that I was living in at the time. And I was so fortunate to work with these incredible teachers that most of them I still speak to today. That just instilled this love for it in me because they loved it so much. And I moved to Muskoka, Ontario, which is where I spent majority of like my youth, and met Wendy Laidlaw, who owns Just for Kicks Academy of Dance in Gravenhurst. She's the best. She's awesome. And she trained me there basically my whole pre-professional life. And she was one of those, I shouldn't say was, she's my friend. I was just talking to her, but she's one of those people that just like to provide opportunity for the people that she cares about. And coming from a small town like the one that I grew up in, there's not much to do here, period. Growing up, you were either a hockey player, you were a dancer, or there wasn't much else to do other than that. And there was so much snow all the time that most people just kind of sat around. Teen pregnancy was like the highest in Ontario when like in my town when I was growing up. So just to paint a picture for you, but so dance
Tumbleweeds going through the middle of town.
Yeah, it was that. So I put my whole life into it. As a teenager, my sisters and I all danced, all 3 of us. So we signed with an agent when I was like 14 or 15. And that was kind of my big, I got to go to the city now on the weekends. And I remember people always telling me like, you're taking this too seriously. Like you're never going to make it. People aren't going to, there's no money in dance. What are you going to go to college for? Like, those.
Oh yeah. I meet them all the time.
Yeah. I still do.
Negative Nellies.
People still ask us what we're going to do when we grow up, but,
I'm growing up.
I'm not, that's the answer. Yeah. So yeah, I started doing some like funny jobs, through that. And as I grew into high school and started really thinking about what I wanted to do, I still didn't really know. And, I started looking into colleges, and I was playing lacrosse at the time as well. I was a lacrosse goalie. And And my
you still
team
have
was
all your
quite
teeth?
good. Yeah, well, most of them. So me and my sister were quite good. We ended up winning provincials that year, and I thought maybe that was something that I might be able to get a scholarship for and stuff like that. So those were all starting to be conversations that I was having, and you're an 18-year-old kid, expected to make this grand decision about what the rest of your life looks like, and
Right.
I knew at that time I was not equipped for that. So my mom was like, well, why don't we go start auditioning and, all this stuff. And I was nervous. Again, I had it in my head that I was never going to make it because I had been told that so many times by people,
Mhm.
like, you're not going to be successful in this. Come up with a plan B. This is not for you. And again, like, I was never the best dancer in the room. I was never the most technically best. I was a performer. I could perform my ass off. I still do. That's my thing. And being an okay mover at the time was enough. And it wasn't until I was 18 and got hired, and by an audition, I went and auditioned for Disney, and my mom kind
Wow.
of was pushed me and was like, go do it, you might as well, you've put in all this time training, and I've put in all this time spending my money on it, and
Nudge,
I've
nudge,
been
nudge, wink, wink,
invested,
wink.
yeah. So I really didn't. Again, I was like, no, like, I don't want to be let down again. I'm not going to get hired. I have it in my mind. I'm not good
Mhm.
enough. Right. So the Disney audition day comes around, and I fell down the stairs that morning.
No.
And yeah, oh my gosh, full yard sale down the stairs. And I ripped my pants. I Charlie horsed my entire like top of my thigh. I'm like, this is a bad omen. We're not going. And my mom was like, we're going. Like, we're
Mhm.
going. So we had a 2-hour
Tape it and
drive to
race it.
Toronto. Yeah, I had a 2-hour drive. By the time we got to Yorkdale Mall, which is where we would park to take the subway into the city back then, my leg had completely frozen up. My pants were ripped. So we had to literally do the suck it up and move on thing that day. And luckily we did, because I ended up somehow booking that audition. And that kickstarted the rest of my career. And that was the day I remember going, oh my gosh, maybe I can do this. Like, maybe this is something that I can do. So after that, I really started to take myself seriously and take it seriously, because I was now making money to travel around the world on a cruise ship with Mickey Mouse. And, that was cooler than what most of the things other people were doing that I knew. So that was when it reignited for me, because for a long time when I was in high school, I discredited it and I discredited myself, just because, I had this idea in my head that it just wasn't going to ever amount into anything. So it was an emotional ride, but since then it's been awesome. It's been so rewarding, and I'm glad that I got to prove a lot of people wrong.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that story, Hannah, because, what you just said there, we were talking about the conditioning process that we go through when, from 0 to 5, and a lot of those belief systems, like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough. And one of the things we've been talking about in this conversation tonight is surrounding that topic of effort, right? How much effort we give something, how much hard work do we put into something? Because so oftentimes, we have this expectation that we're going to be successful, but we're putting in, 60 or 70% of the effort. We're not putting in 110% of the effort. Talk to us about your journey, both of you guys. And when people say they're doing their best, I'm doing the best I can. And we know that there's always so much more that we could be doing. We could be doing something differently. We could be more resourceful in the things that we're doing. We could shift our perspective. We can get around different people. We have the internet now. We have ChatGPT. There's endless supplies of answers and opportunities for us to take responsibility, take action, to get ourselves, our mind, body, and our soul into much better places. Talk to us about that. For people that are listening, that are thinking they're doing their best, what is it that we can tell them? What are some strategies that we can get them to hone in on to become successful like you guys are doing, and on your own terms? What does that effort look like, and how can we shift that perspective about, like, oh, I'm just going to wait for it to come to me, as opposed to taking that proactive responsibility to find that courage and that energy and that passion and that drive to go do those things that you don't necessarily feel like doing?
I'll jump in on this one. A thing that shifted in me whenever I started to figure it out a little bit, because we never have it figured out, right? But you figure out what works for you and how that works for you. So often you hear the phrase, don't work hard, work smart.
Yeah.
Which I frankly disagree with. I think you have to work hard smartly.
True.
Because
Amen.
if you're not putting in, like you're talking about, right? There's that the work smart, not hard, discounts effort. It discounts the pounding the pavement, the blood, sweat, and tears of it, no matter what you're going to do. But if you're putting in that maximum effort, then you really can start to pinpoint, and then you start to fine tune, right? It's a blurry picture, but whenever you're able to kind of sharpen the image and see what your end goal is, see what is working for you, and no matter, this is across arts, being a janitor, being a garbage person, whatever your career, your passion, and if there is passion in that, that's a kind of a retrospective thing to look at, because if there's not anything of that in there, it's going to be really hard to accomplish what you want to accomplish, because you don't really want it. There's an ulterior motive. I want the money, I want of fame, I want all these different things, but unless you have, those are my favorite kind of people, when you meet somebody and you're like, I don't know what this is, but I want to know about it. And then they always have an awesome story and what they're doing and how they're doing it, right? And that is something that has really worked for me personally, of figuring out, okay, what do I want? Just bar none. What do I want? Then from there, how do I create the staircase to get there? And it's never a straight up staircase, right? Sometimes we're winding around, and it's up and it's down, and you're getting on a ride and you're taking it, and then you're getting off the ride, but keeping that end goal while still validating yourself through the intermittent goals. And
Alex, sorry,
No.
I want to. There's a part of your life that I want to share, because what you're saying right now actually is super part of that. And yet I also want us to jump to Hannah too, before we get to that part of the story. But just, obstacles in your life or choices that you make. And you were actually born with a cleft lip, cleft palate, correct?
Yes, I was.
And that had to have obviously had an impact on your life. And you managed to be this unbelievable human being. And at the same time, you're dedicated flawlessly to supporting the emotional ability of those who are actually suffering. And your dream is into creating the cessation of suffering. But we are going to come back to that, because I think it's very, very important. So we'll segue to Hannah first. So you have to answer this.
Perfect. Yes.
And then we're going to come back and we're going to play something as well.
Okay. Perfect.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah.
Alex, I know we talk about this regularly, but I think when it comes to that as well, with I'm doing my best, a lot of that comes down to vulnerability and expectation. And I think that, I'm trying to think of the verbiage that we used when we talked about this last week. People, I think, sometimes are afraid to show 100%, because then from then on out, that is what's expected of them.
Yeah.
And that is now what people know they can do. So they are now responsible for upholding that. And it's frustrating. And, we work with a lot of kids. We work with a lot of teenagers, especially, around across North America, and getting over that 85% work hump into the now you're at 100 is so hard, because that jump from this is where I know I'm good to, screwing up and realizing that you can do better past that is such a hard thing to instill into people. And being brave enough to make that jump to the 100 rather than being comfortable at 85. And that's something that, we have been trying to instill in people and in youth, in the next generation, especially because they have the internet at their fingertips, 24/7. They have 24/7 access to each other all the time. Growing up, I cannot imagine growing up in the state that they have right now of the world, and just the what it is now and what that means. And when we were kids growing up, in the late 90s and early 2000s, we had MSN that was on a metered connection that you had to dial up. So my mom got real mad if we were on it for a long time, because
I gotta make a call. Get off the computer.
Right, exactly, or just taking it off. So but that was our reality back then. And like school turned off when you went home, and home turned off when you went to school. And that's all blurred now. And I think that really also has affected people's workflow and people's, drive for that, because people are tired. They're so tired. Everyone's exhausted and everyone's burnt out. Like, I don't know. I've never seen so many burnt out teenagers before they've even had the opportunity to succeed yet as an adult,
Right.
which makes me nervous, because what happens to your passion once you lose that? Like they don't have a chance, and that's something that I think is important, especially as an adult. If you are around a younger kid, it's your duty to go 100% to show them what that means, show them what that is, because that is, something that I think is missing right now. And the work smart, not hard theory, that's all they know now. So they don't know what hard work is, because they're not shown hard work anymore. And I think that is something just to keep in mind, is, you put out what the rest of the world sees around you, and you're responsible for yourself. And, if that's something that you're preaching, you better also be practicing.
Yeah. Your words of wisdom. I don't know. You have such an old soul, Hannah. You're just coming out with it. But let's go back to this. Alex, you stand up for a cause. And actually, Chris, you know what? Maybe just before he says anything, I think it would be really appropriate. Can you play the
Sure. Yeah. Let me do that right now. Let me make sure hopefully I have this the right way.
we do a drum roll?
I was gonna say
A drum roll. Let's see.
home movie. Did you?
There's so many drumsticks in this office. Where
Let's go share audio. Okay, we're gonna give this a shot so you guys can see this. Let's just refresh this real quick and see if we can. Oops.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, who's this guy? Boo.
It's true. The smallest act of kindness gives life. Thank you for joining us. I'm Alex, and like many of the children you have just seen, I too was born with a cleft lip and palate. It's why we're here talking to you. We've lived through the enormous challenges a cleft lip or palate brings to infants and children. And because of our cleft journeys, we want to make a substantial and immediate impact on the lives of infants who are born, just like us, with cleft lips or palates. But millions of these children are born in low-income countries with little access to medical knowledge or cleft care. All of those cleft surgeries pushed me to excel. I caught the entertainment bug while studying pre-med, found success in the Big Apple and then the West Coast. And now, I'm a resource for parents and kids who are cleft affected, as well as an advocate for cleft representation in the arts. Your small act of kindness gives life. Please, call now. It's true. The smallest act of kindness.
Oh.
Thank you for joining us.
Wow.
Boom.
Oh, I got the tears going again.
Bravo, sir.
That makes me cry.
Well, hey, the means the spot is doing its job. But no, that was for Smile Train, which is, I'm an ambassador for them. They are the world's largest cleft supporting charity. I think at this juncture, they've they definitely have helped over 2 million people.
Wow.
With cleft care, from surgeries at birth through repairs, through ongoing cleft care. And they are just fantastic to work with. And they're now starting to do a lot domestically as well, because for a long time it was just outside of the USA, because there is so much support here for it, but now it's being brought into a much more grand community and a close-knit community. And to counteract how bad social media is for you, this has been something, I think, for a lot of kids, and myself included, like the idea of community, that I didn't know anybody else that had a cleft growing up. I was the only one, and the people on TV that you saw had them didn't talk about it. It was like, don't bring
attention to it, right?
Don't talk about it. Whereas now, and that was something that my parents very much instilled in me whenever I was very little, of this is a part of you, but it doesn't define you. Yeah. But it's also something that we're not going to shy away from talking about it, speaking about it. It is a part of you. So you could either take it and use it and step into that light, or that's an excuse why I'm not getting picked for this, or I'm not, it was a driving factor, and kind of turning that on its head, rather than being a crutch. It was gas in the tank to then propel me personally. And like that was something so obviously near and dear to my heart. And then as an adult, that was a goal that I personally made for myself, to try to help other people, that if they, if moms have questions or dads have questions, and they, don't have anybody to bounce them off. You search it on the internet, and then ends up like, go to WebMD and you're dead, right? Like, I'm dying. Whereas, you still can very much have a very meaningful and regular life, but there's this thing surrounding it that is starting to slowly break away from that. And it's something that I'm very, very passionate about, obviously, because I went through it, all the surgeries, all the time in the hospital, and all the things connected with it. And like you said, it was a lot of obstacles, a lot of hurdles. But if I was holding on that resentment, or feeling some sort of way of, this is exactly why somebody doesn't like me, or why I'm not good at this. And, that's just an arbitrary thing that everyone can find excuses. But rather than doing that, allowing it to push me and push me further. And then, this is who I am. And if you like it, awesome, great. But you're not going to like me or dislike me because of this.
Right.
You're just going to not like me because I'm an idiot, which that's fine. But, I've found some positivity in it, and being an advocate for people like myself that kind of, we don't always have to play the villain in film. Right. All of these different things that now the mold is starting to break a little bit, and to be involved in that at any capacity is something I'm very, very proud of.
Amazing, guys. We've already been talking for nearly an hour. I looked up at the clock, and I sat there, and I wear glasses, and I was like, does it say 7:37 or does that say 7:57? That's crazy.
Another couple of hours here.
Yeah, easily we could do that. We want to respect your guys' time. Patty, any final questions for our beautiful guests? And thank you for bringing them here to us.
Oh my gosh, final questions. Well, maybe just a really quick, do you make New Year's resolutions? Because we're getting pretty close to the end of the year. Is there something that's just sort of sitting on the tip of your tongue that you're thinking, maybe I'm going to make this happen next year? Is there something exciting around the corner?
I feel like we set resolutions like every week.
That's good. You should always be pushing yourself and challenging.
I feel like
resolutions.
Yeah, New Year's is a great reminder to reset. And I think that I think that people should set reminders for themselves. They don't have to be on New Year's. Set them whenever you want. But
yes,
set goals for yourselves, and give yourself a timeline to hold yourself accountable. And if that's New Year's for you, awesome. If it's next Tuesday, also awesome.
Yeah. Well, I personally want to just say to both of you, deep gratitude for taking the time in two different places to be with us tonight. And your
thank you
stories.
for having us.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. We're honored and blessed, and thank you very much.
Yeah, it's just been fabulous. And I know Christopher giving us the opportunity to co-host together, and then to have you on the show. And of course, next week we're going to have Brian, which is pretty stoked. And I love you both. You know that. And I look forward to seeing you again in 2024. We had lots to do. And
so much.
Chris, anything you want to say, share?
No, I just want to know where people can get a hold of you and learn more about you guys. What's a website we can send them to?
Well, we have been hilariously following our own advice, and we've cut back on our socials. We don't use a lot of Facebook or anything, but isenbergent.com is our website. And you can catch us on Instagram, instagram.com/the @Isenberg ENT. And we usually are quicker to share there because it's faster. But apart from that, everything else you can find through those two links.
I love it. You guys are awesome. And I want to invite you back on the show because again, realizing this is such a fast time. There's so many different places we can go, but now at least we have a jumping off point to be able to do that. For those of you guys listening on the audio podcast, it's Isenberg. So it's ISENBERG. BERGENT.com. So you guys are listening, driving, make sure you pull over, stop, and you go check it out. It's also in the show notes, so you can be able to just go there and click it and check it out and follow these guys and follow them on Instagram as well. I just appreciate you guys. I'm so thankful to Patty for bringing these two amazing individuals on here and talking about, what it takes to have relationships, what it takes to have that communication and that partnership in a professional and a personal relationship, and talking about, what are the ways that we can overcome some of our limiting beliefs. We've talked about that tonight. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to place you backstage, and Patty and I are going to finish out the show for a second, but don't go anywhere because we still want to talk to you. But thank you guys for being here again with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Awesome. We're going to place you backstage. Don't go anywhere. And there we go. Patty, I mean, can you believe how fast that just went by? I literally looked up at the clock and I'm like, there's no way. I should have talked to you beforehand and said, do we want to do a 3-hour show tonight, or we want to keep it still to 45 to an hour?
Well, we'll bring them back. We'll just have to bring them back for sure.
It might be raw synchronicity to bring them back. Oh, there's a little play on words.
I like that. Yeah, no, I think great lessons. I mean, they're both brainiacs. They really are. I have had the privilege of, spending time with them, both of them, and on Zooms for hours too, like just chatting away, the creative. But if through the next period of time, their music is out there, I mean, people really do want to watch them. And of course, his story is pretty special. I don't know if your kids are, if you're listening and you've got children and you want to put them in dance, or they're showing any interest in it, oh my God, like let them do that, because it's life-changing. Anything, music, dance, life-changing. Encourage them, and sports.
Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody's got to have that form of self-expression, and music and dance and all those different things are that form. And so many times we don't find out what that true gift is because we're told what to go do. We're told who to be. You should go, follow your father in the family business, or you should go do what your mother did, or, you should be a doctor, you should be a lawyer, you should be something that's safe and predictable and makes lots of money. But at the end of the day, we're here to live life. We're not here to exist in life, and we're not here to live life for somebody else. We're here to live life for us. And I think that's one of the beautiful conversation points tonight, is the fact of what we started the show off with. So if you guys joined the show halfway through, go back and check out the beginning of it, because we talked about personal boundaries and being able to set those boundaries and being able to say no. Right? That is such an important factor in the success of your life. I've been coaching people now for over 20 years. And I know, Patricia, you've been a part of a lot of masterminds and influential people. And this, the fact that we have to be able to say and have those boundaries in our lives to be able to choose what it is that we truly want to do, to be able to have that form of self-expression, to be able to have that joy of being who we truly are at our core, as opposed to being, who we need to be for everybody else. There's a book out there. It's called The 5 Regrets of the Dying.
Yeah,
I talk about on the show all the time. The number one regret of the dying is that people lived the life they thought they were supposed to live. They didn't live the life that they wanted to live. Yeah. And I think our guests tonight were beautiful examples of being able to say, hey, listen, here's how we grew up. Here's the situations we were in. I love how Hannah talked about the fact, she still went to her audition. Everything in your life, ladies and gentlemen, is preparing you for what's next. Everything that's happened and everything that's happening is preparing you for what's next. And so don't duck out of those opportunities for you to make those important decisions. Don't duck out of those important opportunities to push yourself to find out what your best really is. Because if you don't find out what your best really is, then you're going to get to that point in your life where you're going to look back and you're going to regret all the chances you didn't take, all the people that you could have surrounded yourself with that would have been more positive. Make those determinations, make those decisions, draw those boundaries, and be happy with yourself, because at the end of the day, that's the one that is responsible for your happiness, is the person you're looking in the mirror. So we love and appreciate you guys. This show will be on podcast tomorrow, all where podcasts are sold. We'll be sharing it on social media as well. So, and we're excited about next week. So Patricia, why don't you tell our audience who we can expect next week?
So Brian Thomas, who was actually is in New York. He has a very famous, choreography dance school. He's also a film producer, and he was Michael Jackson's choreographer. He has multiple stories, along with, I believe, Liza Minnelli, some really interesting people, but he himself is a super deep spiritual person. I absolutely love him. I've had the privilege of meeting him in person, and I'm really excited, for him to be with us. And on a final note, my drum partner, my art partner, Greg DiFrancesco's birthday is today. So I just want to, if he's watching or doesn't watch it, it's a shout out. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Greg. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gregory. Happy birthday to you.
So thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share this evening with you, Chris. Again, it was a wonderful opportunity. I love Hannah and Alex. And yeah, we have to do this again.
We absolutely will. We absolutely will. And the last person, and thank you, Patty, for being here with me. And I love our collaborations when we do these things. Just want to go back and thank everybody who showed up tonight. We got Nancy Nance in the house. She's a part of my group accountability coaching program. She's been an amazing spirit in my life. We got Lynn Serrano in the house. Lynn, I owe you a birthday message. Thank you for being here. She says, hello, beautiful friends and family. Got my buddy, Mr. Barry Dunford, in the house. He said awesome to that particular situation. Got Nicole Young coming in from Florida. What's up, Nicole? Thank you for being here. I love what Nancy said here. No is a complete sentence. I think we had said that at the same time. I think Hannah had said the same thing. And then Nancy also says here, collaboration is so important. My buddy Scott Goyette, our friend, our mutual friend, Scott Goyette in the house, says, love you guys. Love you, Scott. Appreciate you being here. And Nancy also says here, 3 days grace to allow big decisions, giving space for grace. For some reason, my thing isn't showing up over here. This is a new person that's following the show. So thank you for showing up here.
That's my friend Kami.
Kami. Oh, so you know Kami. So yeah.
I do, Kami.
So Kami says, enjoyed your sharing, authenticity and perspectives, gratitude. Thank you for being here as well. Appreciate you. We got Nancy says, you are my constant. Well, thank you. Well, you're my constant too, I guess. Yes, we're all our constants. Darlene in the house. Glad you're here and enjoying this conversation. And Nancy says here as well, she goes, I'm a Canadian. We are resilient, living the dream. So she's up there with you, Patty. I've got Khalil in the house. What's up, Khalil? Khalil's a fighter. He's out there fighting cancer right now. He's kicking its ass. So thank you, Khalil, for being here and sharing your time with us. Appreciate that. We got Robert Broker in the house. Robert says here, conspiracy theorists say that it is a part of the plan. Create dependency. Obviously, the plan has not been going well. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we got to sit there and we got to take responsibility for our life. If our life isn't going well, then we need to take the appropriate actions to change what it is that's no longer working for us. And that's what we do here on the Raw and Unscripted Show. Is every single week, I've been doing this now for 241 episodes. I'm actually going in January will be my 4th year doing this particular show. So it really is about the fact that we come here every single week and we provide you guys with opportunities to shift your perspective just a little bit, to shift your confidence and to start taking those imperfect actions, because over time, that imperfect action is going to create that confidence and that confidence to believe and to trust in yourself, to go take those scary opportunities, because when you take those scary opportunities, that allows your confidence and everything else to grow and to feed upon itself. And we just encourage you guys to go out there, live your life today. Live your life today. Don't play the someday game. There's no someday on the calendar. We encourage you guys and we love you guys to go out there and take those actions today. You can write into the show and let us know how those things are going for you. If you just hit info@noexcusescoach.com or info at the Raw and Unscripted Show, you can do that as well. We would love to hear from you guys. But go out there, make the dream possible. Surround yourself with beautiful people. And we'll be back here next Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, live on the video cast. But you can always check out the podcast wherever podcasts are sold. We love you guys. We'll see you back here next week on the Raw and Unscripted Show. Cheers.
Cheers.